We're going to answer this question here, which is asking us to solve tan of x plus the square root of 3 is equal to 0 for this domain right here. The very first thing that we're going to do is just rearrange this. So this is going to be the tan of x, and then I'm just going to subtract the square root of 3 from both sides. Now, remember, the first thing that you want to do here is you want to find your reference angle. And you find your reference angle by ignoring the sign of your exact value here. So let's just consider this as the square root of 3. And you might like to think about your special triangle here. You might be able to do this without the special triangle, but if you need to, it's no worries at all if you have to use it. Now, if I'm dealing with tan, that means I'm dealing with opposite over adjacent, and I need to end up just with the square root of 3. Remember, we're just ignoring the negative for the time being. That means I must be dealing with pi on 3, because opposite over adjacent would give me the square root of 3 on 1, which is the square root of 3. So my reference angle is pi on 3. The next thing you now need to consider is which quadrants you're going to exist in if it's negative the square root of 3. The way I like to think about this is I know that I've got a negative tan value in my second and fourth quadrants. So in my second and fourth quadrant, I know it's going to be negative. Therefore, if I know that my reference angle is pi on 3, well, what is pi on 3 in my second quadrant? Well, I know that pi on 3 in my second quadrant is going to be 2 pi on 3. What is pi on 3 in my fourth quadrant? Well, I know that's going to be 5 pi on 3. And there are my answers. Now, you can see how helpful it is just knowing what the angles are going to be in each quadrant based on what your reference angle is, and that's just done by memorizing. But if you have not yet memorized them, you can still remember that, in your second quadrant, it's pi minus whatever the angle is. So in this case, pi on 3. So this would be 3 pi on 3 minus pi on 3, and that's 2 pi on 3. So to over here, if I'm in my fourth quadrant, I know it's 2 pi minus whatever the angle is. So in this case, pi on 3, this would be 6 pi on 3 minus pi on 3 is 5 pi on 3. So you can see the thinking that I'm doing to get my answers, but it's just a lot quicker if you just memorize what each of them are going to be instead of having to do that right there. So that's how you answer that question right here. Hopefully you can answer it a bit quicker than what I went through here. Maybe you don't need to use the special triangle. That makes your life a lot easier if you don't, and then you can just answer it in a few steps just like that. Hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.